Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of Hutcast, Mr. Tim Hutner.
Thank you, Sergeant-at-Arms. You can now take your post.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individual and participants. These views and opinions expressed do not represent those of the host or the show. The opinions in this broadcast are not to replace your legal, medical, or spiritual professionals. Welcome to Hutcast. Today is 9/7/2025. Been a heck of a year, and I got a heck of a guest. So let's ask a question. What if the air in your own home was killing you? And what if the toxic mold, blue light, and forces that you can't see were shutting down your body, your mind, and your spirit? Well, today on Hutcast, we have a conversation with Dan Huber, a man who went from near death to uncovering miracles, exorcisms, and global movement for hope. So buckle up. This isn't just another story. It's a wake-up call. Hutcast will be right back. The current healthcare system is not meeting the needs of real people. People are demanding better care, better options, and want results. So Gareth Care has launched and is advocating for those in the U.S. and internationally. As people are realizing the controlled system has not been there for them. If you want your own independent advocate that is not controlled by big corporations, call or text and enroll today to get your advocate for your needs, serving all ages. For any healthcare needs you might have, you matter. Here's how you get started. www.garethcare.com. That is GRAITHCARE.com. Call Gareth Care direct at 469-864-7149. Call or text the questions to Healthcare Sucks and get an advocate with Gareth Care. 469-864-7149. Mention Hutcast and you will get an additional 10% discount on your first advocacy bundle. The staff at Gareth Care will take care of you. Remember, mention Hutcast and get that extra 10% off your first bundle of time. And this is all brought to you from Gareth Care. Okay, welcome back to Hutcast. As I said in pre-roll, we have Dan Huber on the line. And he's had, I'll tell you what, one heck of a story. If you do his research, find out what he's all about. I'm sure he'll give us some links to his podcast and his endeavors that he's doing. Dan, are you there?
Good evening, Tim. Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
How is the weather down in Texas?
It's finally cooling off. We've been really blessed. We had a really easy summer. I think we had only a couple days over 100, where last year, I think I counted probably 14 days close to 110. Oh. And about another 10 that were over 100. So it's been a really good summer. I'm hoping we're going to have a mild winter too. So
ain't that something?
But thank you so much for having me on.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Christina puts up a lot of great guests. We have great conversations. Have you listened to any of the shows?
I have just one. She recently turned me on to you. I'm kind of a busy guy, but I do drive a lot, and I got to catch one of them recently. Yeah,
got some windshield time. Copy that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So let's jump into this. Before I start my questions, let's just start the common stuff. Who are you? What do you do?
Okay, Dan Huber. You want me to go birth to now?
Well, if you start at the dinosaurs dying making oil, we're going to have to shorten this up a little bit.
Okay. Ended up in Texas after my mom remarried, and when I was in high school and moved down here, and I came down afterwards. I was in the nightclub business for a while, got married, got out of the nightclub business, was a mortgage banker, and in about 2008, we were 6 kids and one on the way when the mortgage banking crisis hit. It took about, I'd say, 3 years to try to fist fight that thing and then lose everything. So we went broke, lost the houses, the cars, spent all the savings and all that stuff. And we moved into a rental house, and I transitioned into the oil and gas business. I like to call myself kind of a entrepreneur. I like to make shit work.
Yeah, there you go.
Sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it gets on you. So we transitioned into oil and gas business and moved into this rent house. And within a year, I had gained about 50 pounds, was having headaches and brain fog, fatigue, blurred vision, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, weird rashes. The kids always had sinus problems, red eyes, itchy eyes. My wife and I, we had a miscarriage while we were in that house. Hadn't happened before.
Wow.
Went to about 7 different Western allopathic doctors who said, you work too hard, you're too stressed out, you're stupid, it's in your head, it's anxiety. Your cholesterol's high, by the way, so here's a benzo and a Lipitor. And that was it. And then we went in 2015, 4 years later, to the beach on vacation for 10 days, and everybody's eyes cleared up, lungs cleared up. And during this time before, I was traveling to West Texas in the oil and gas business, and I'd feel pretty good when I got out there, and then I got home and I'd feel bad again. And I just kind of chalked it up to stress from business travel. And then we came home from the beach in the spring of 2015 and figured out our house had been flooding underneath the crawl space, and it was littered with black mold. So that kind of kicked open a whole new avenue of discovery.
That is incredible, because that's where I'm leading this. So
Yeah.
Dan, you went from a mortgage company owner to nearly losing your life to black mold and a blue light. Walk us through the collapse. I mean, because what's happening to your body? Why did no doctor connect the dots?
Well, we can go with the tinfoil hat part if your audience wants to hear that. I think that they're trained to not look for causes. You know, when you have a left ear surgeon and a right ear surgeon and they don't talk to each other, you've compartmentalized this healthcare, and then you throw in the evil overlords of big pharma, big insurance, big medicine.
Sure.
They don't treat the body holistically. And what was super frustrating were I went to this really great, highly recommended integrative specialist guy who was super recommended. We did all these tests, did all the heart stuff, the brain stuff, did the brain scans, and he was the guy that said, oh, well, your cholesterol's high. Here's some Lipitor. Come see me in 6 months. And I cursed at him and said, dude, I'm going to be dead in 6 months. Sure. I literally wake up every day thinking I'm dying. That's how I feel.
Wow.
I have no energy. I can't walk up the stairs without being out of breath. I can't pick up my kids. My brain is troubled. I can't think of words sometimes. Can't form sentences. I almost had to get angry in order to push the adrenaline through my body to complete a sentence.
Wow. And
I think those poor guys, they're programmed with the standard information, but then also the arrogance and the ego. And they're not the guys I went to, and I'm not saying this is everybody, but the guys I went to in 2011, this kind of alternative health stuff was just very new, and it wasn't as popular as it is now. So they aren't trained to look for it, and their egos won't let them think that something else is wrong. So they just want to write you
a script
for something, and that's it.
Wow. Now I've read some of your bio, and
yes, sir.
and you've described the mold as a blue light, as a silent killer.
Oh, yeah. So let me shift into that. So the mold does a whole lot of crazy stuff. One of the other things that was kind of additive to this health crisis was I would sit in front of 2 computer screens all day on my cell phone next to my head with a Wi-Fi router. And the house we moved into had these really high power lines, high tension lines right over, and a cell tower about 4 blocks away. So there's problems with mold, but then you also have problems with blue light and non-native EMF, which is basically the electricity in the airwaves that comes off of your cell phone, your Wi-Fi router, high tension lines, even from the earth can be troubling for people in health crisis. So when you get into a moldy environment, you can handle it for a while, but then your body gets overloaded, and there's a thing called the rain barrel effect. When the rain barrel gets full, your body, with toxins, it overflows. It's kind of like having a big opening on the top and a little drain on the bottom. Your body, your liver, can't function to get rid of the toxins, and then mold likes to camp out in fatty tissue. So I discovered this guy. His name's Dr. Jack Kruse, Kruse. He's a arrogant, bombastic trauma neurosurgeon, brain surgeon, super genius, curses all the time.
So Dr. House. You met Dr. House. MD.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was so brain foggy when I found him. The only thing I could capture, because he's so sciencey and so smart, was that blue light equals bad. So the lizard brain was still functioning. And so the caveman part said blue light is bad. So we switched out the lights in the house from compact fluorescent bulbs and LEDs to old-timey Edison incandescent bulbs in the yellow, orange, and red color spectrum.
Sure.
And then we started trying to wear these blue light glasses off of Amazon, and I couldn't get my kids to wear them. But what blocking the blue light did for me was mold keeps your body in a toxic fight or flight status. So you're always dumping cortisol, and your body is so stressed that I would get completely tired by 2 p.m. and have to take a nap, and then not be able to sleep until 2 a.m. And so your circadian rhythm gets completely spanked. And so blue light from your computer, your telephone, your iPad is the same color temperature of the sun at noon. So if you look at your phone at night without protection on your eyes or a filter on your screen, you tricked your brain into thinking it's noon, and it stops releasing melatonin. So when I started this health recovery, the number one thing that got me better was blocking the blue light.
Oddly enough, we've had these conversations on here. Dr. Ely has a big EMF guy. I've had I don't know if you listen to any other shows, but we've had this conversation. It's incredible that what's done for these people. Now, do you see this fight as a purely medical one, or is it a spiritual one as well for you?
Oh, here we go. Yeah. So I still say it. So I used to say mold is from the devil, and then also blue light now is from the devil. And I don't know if it's completely sinister, but the base of pretty much every screen out there is built on a blue light, LED light base. From my research, it's because it runs cooler than the red. It's cheaper to run. It doesn't drain the batteries as fast. But what that spike of the blue light at between 440 nanometers and 460 nanometers, for the nerds in the audience, they'll know what that means. But it's basically, if you look at the sunlight under a light meter, it's full spectrum. You see all the colors fully present, and blue light from the sun is balanced all the time with about 40% red light. Blue light by itself does what I told you. It screws with your body, and it messes with a bunch of different science pathways and causes a big health dysfunction. So it depletes dopamine, serotonin, and melatonin, which makes you anxious, depressed, and not able to sleep. So I couldn't get my kids to wear the blue light glasses off of Amazon. So my 16-year-old daughter, Lizzie, at the time said, "Why don't you just start a business? You're an entrepreneur." So I did. She helped design the website, pick out the colors and the frames. And so now we have luciaeyes.com, and we sell the best blue light blocking glasses on the planet. And if you want to shift into the spiritual, I can get kind of knee deep into that part if you want.
Well, you had also said in one of your bios, your turning point came to you, help come to you when a convent full of nuns dealing with mold sickness. And how did that experience change your perspective? Because, and what was that like to step into the world of exorcism and miracles?
Yeah, okay, so I'm Catholic, grew up Catholic, went away during college, chased girls and fun and booze and left the church. But then when I got married, I did a deep dive into a lot of religious studies and made the choice to return and be Catholic. So my grandmother, at that time when we had a couple kids, she lived behind us in an apartment complex behind our house, and she would always be saying, offer it up, offer it up, offer it up. And finally, I looked up what that meant. And the Catholics believe that if you offer up some of your sufferings, you can do it for either the souls of purgatory or for somebody else specifically. Like, so Tim has an illness he's going through. I've got some suffering. I'll offer up my sufferings in exchange for relief of Tim's suffering. So when I every day would wake up, I sleep on my side, I would lift my right arm and see how long I could hold it up. And if I could hold it up longer than 30, 45 seconds, I felt like I was getting better. But most of the days I couldn't. So my prayer was, God, make this go away, but don't let it go to waste. So in 2023, I was having some business issues, some family issues, and it was pretty stressed out. Went to an event at our church and a fundraising event. And one of my friends came up and said, hey, did you make any New Year's resolutions? I said, yeah. I'm saying no. This year's no's. Don't ask me to volunteer. Don't ask me for a check. Don't ask me to borrow my truck. Hell, don't even ask me to stack these chairs after this event.
Don't even ask me, right?
I literally said 2023, it's all about me. And then they called an order to the to the event. And this really sweet nun steps up to start giving a presentation, and she says, oh, before I start my presentation, please pray for us. We found mold in our convent, and several of our nuns are sick. I failed to mention that during this whole recovery process in 2020, I ended up with a group purchasing the medical clinic from the 80-year-old doctor who helped save my life. His name is Dr. Charles Hamill. He just recently retired last year in October, and we closed that clinic. But he's the guy, in addition to Dr. Cruz and blocking blue light, he helped me get better really fast. So that, at that point, I thought was the answer to the prayer. It was the aha of, God, help me get better, but don't let it go to waste, because here's this group of really beautiful, sweet nuns dedicated their lives to serving humanity. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I've got a clinic. I've got a Airbnb house that's really clean they can stay in, and I know how to leapfrog this.
Yeah.
So 2 days later, I had 9 nuns living in one of our houses and at our clinic. And then the story took a kind of a wild turn.
Is this the part where Sister Wilhelmina, Lancaster's body being found incompatible or incorruptible, had become a global story? Okay.
So
you were close to that discovery, right?
Yeah. So it's crazy. So about 2 weeks in, several of these nuns were having these weird kind of some catatonic type seizures and then other physical type seizures. And I had this Priscilla who works with Christina. I had Priscilla was a nurse.
Romans. Yep.
Yeah, she's a badass. Love that woman. Well, kill or die for that girl. She's doing a great job helping people.
Yes, she does.
So she came over because several of the nuns couldn't eat. They could barely drink water, and we were trying to get her to help us figure out how to get orders written for TPN for the IV nutrition. Mm-hmm. One of these nuns had a seizure that lasted quite a long time. Poor Priscilla grabs me by the shirt, and she's like, these aren't seizures, these aren't seizures. And I said, yeah, I kind of thought that. So I called my priest. He said, oh, okay, we need to bring in an exorcist. And then I called Mother Superior, and she's like, oh my gosh, how did we not see this? Of course, we were being blinded. So for about the next 2.5 weeks, there was a whole bunch of exorcisms going on at my house with this great priest from Father Chad Ripperger's group, and that's their whole order is dedicated to fighting the devil. And so I got to be a witness to this extraordinarily scary and beautiful event. And
you don't hear that every day.
Yeah, I don't want to go through it again. I didn't want to go through it then, but I'm glad I did. couple of crazy lessons. I'll give you the couple crazy lessons, then I'll give you the birthday cake, blowing out the candles, wish surprise came at the end. So one, the demons are really big bullies. They love to pick on weak people and desperate people and people who are in a crisis. If you're running around doing a bunch of bad stuff, they tend to leave you alone. But if there's good people, they start banging on your door pretty hard. And these nuns are just the most wonderful people I've ever met in my life.
Okay.
And two, they're very legalistic. They have to follow legitimate authority. And three, they really flee at the name of Jesus. And St. Michael and St. Benedict, really afraid of those guys. So it took a lot of work. I don't claim to know a lot about this. I'm just a dumb layman.
Okay.
But I got to be there, and I experienced pretty much everything you would see in those exorcist-type movies without the vomit and the head turning all the way around.
Okay.
And after about 2.5, 3 weeks of going through all this, a lot of it was expiated. They were gone. And Mother Superior said, okay, we're going back. Went back to Missouri. And that was Easter week of 23. I was pretty overwhelmed and kind of let down at the same time to have those girls leave, but it was a really good 3 months of trying to help them out, and they're very good friends. And about a week, 10 days after Easter, Mother Superior calls me to tell me that one of the nuns who had been having these seizures or kind of catatonic episodes would get visions of either Jesus or Mary. And she said that in one of her visions recently, she had a vision of the Virgin Mary standing on a hill, her arm extended, pointing to a hill. And the hill was where Sister Wilhelmina was buried, and said to this nun, it's time to dig up your treasure. That coincided with the completion of a side altar where they were going to move her into a new coffin and put her body inside the church. Well, they dug her up, and she was incorruptible. And so there's only a couple hundred saints in the Catholic Church who have been incorruptible where their bodies don't decay. So she was not embalmed. She was buried in the wet Missouri dirt in a pine coffin, and everything was decayed. All the linen fabric on the inside was decayed. Part of the wood was decayed. But her habit, her veil, and her body were incorruptible. They didn't decay.
Wow.
And so for me, the big giant aha and like gratitude was that 5 years of suffering and being just dumb enough not to quit and saying that prayer, don't let it go to waste, culminated with the giant miracle of this wonderful woman who started her own nun order, and they've helped, I don't know, lots and lots and lots of people. And it's really a humbling privilege to have been a tiny part of it.
Wow. So I got one more question before we got to take a break here.
Yeah.
Excellent information, by the way. And I can imagine a lot of people are going to resonate with that. So
Yeah,
you prayed every morning, God, make this go away, but don't let it go to waste.
Don't let it go to waste, yeah.
Looking back, do you think that the suffering was necessary to prepare you for this mission?
Oh, gosh, yes, totally. Completely. Yeah, that was, if there was one thing to point to of the necessity of it, was to be prepared for that. So, when you being kind of a type A, I'll just say type A asshole, you don't like to ask for help. And so being sick, I couldn't do everything I was used to doing. So I had to humble myself and reach out, uncomfortably reach out.
Sure. Now, in your sisters and brothers, do you have sisters and brothers?
I do.
Are you the middle child?
I'm the oldest.
Okay. Usually the middle child's the overachiever.
Okay. Copy.
It's just what it is. I'm a middle child. I was in a meeting once, and the attorney looks at me and goes, "Well, we know who the overachiever is in the room." And I went, "Okay."
Yeah,
loud and clear.
That.
Loud and clear. I went, "Okay, gotcha." Okay, so when I got to take a break, it was an excellent answer on that one because you got to suffer to understand. And it sounds like you had plenty of it. So let me do this. Let me take a break. We'll come back with the number 6 question on my list, and we'll just kind of go from there. Can you hang tight?
Yes, sir. Will do.
Okay. All right. Stand by. Hotcast will be right back, and we'll have some words from our sponsors, and then we'll come back and we'll finish this outstanding story. So everybody, just kind of hang tight. We'll be right back.
Is your patriotism showing? Freedom Flag and Pole has everything you need to display your American pride. Visit freedomflagandpole.com today to browse durable, high-quality flags to sturdy, easy-to-install flagpoles. Freedom Flag and Pole makes it simple to honor the red, white, and blue. Show your support for our nation, your community, or even your favorite holiday. Freedom Flag and Pole offers a wide variety of flags and sizes to fit any need. Visit them online at freedomflagandpole.com. That's freedomflagandpole.com to get your flag flying high.
Welcome back to Hotcast. We had to listen to our guys who helped sponsor the show for us, but we have this amazing story on our hands. Did you make it back with us?
I'm here. Yes, sir.
Okay. I've got some other questions here because after the Exorcist thing, I've got a whole lot of questions. I've never, you see them on TV, like you said, but nothing like, you don't see it. You just can't write this.
Yeah.
So from struggling, you launch Lucia Eyes to combat the blue light exposure.
Yes.
How big of a threat is modern technology to our health? And what are we ignoring that we should be paying attention to? I think you answered a lot of it, but what's the nuts and bolts of that?
So a couple other things. So being a father of 7 and trying to keep compliance with my kids wearing because these kids are all on devices and we homeschool, so they have to be on a computer or an iPad. And then, in this day and age, the way they communicate and socialize is on a telephone or a screen of some sort.
Right.
And I don't know the exact number, but the kids, prepubescent children's pupils are larger by almost double than the adults' pupils are. So they are more susceptible to damage from the blue light. So we have a lot of kids' frames, I think more than any other blue blocking glasses company out there. Mm-hmm. And so the dangers from blue light and then, like you said, the non-native EMF are huge because I hesitate to call them the evil overlords. They might just be corporate greedy guys, but there could be something sinister behind it. But now that all this data is out, and thankfully with RFK, trying to do this MAHA thing in America, I think that there's some good changes coming. And it's no longer fringe science and weird,
sure.
Whatever you call them, biohackers.
Right. Yeah.
It's more mainstream. So the way I kind of compare the number one thing, blue light, for me, that's the number one thing that got me healthy the fastest. Now, I did 100 other things to combat the mold, but it's the one thing I continually do every day is block blue light. So if you've ever gone camping and you hike all day, you don't have a phone with you, you make a fire, you roast some hot dogs and do some marshmallows and s'mores, and then it's dark and you're sitting telling stories around the campfire and suddenly start yawning. You go, oh my gosh, I'm tired. I need to get to bed. Must be midnight. You look at your watch, it's 8:20. You're like, what in the hell? Why am I so tired? Well, you're outside. You probably got up with the sun. You got sun in your eyes and on your skin, and sunshine in your eyes that are not blocked with glasses or sunglasses or contacts. Your eyes have these melanopsin receptors, which accept the light from the sun and then set basically the circadian clocks in every cell of your body. And what blue light does is it knocks that system out of whack. So if you're out camping, you get up in the morning, you go out in the sun, you're outside all day, you're getting sun on your skin and on your eyes. And then firelight or candlelight is the same closest color temperature to the sun. So it's natural.
Okay.
Your body gets back into a natural rhythm, back on the circadian rhythm, and you fall asleep earlier. So if you block blue light, whether from wearing our glasses or somebody else reputable, or you use a filter on your screens, your body is going to start getting back into that kind of rhythm. And then you'll get deeper sleep, better sleep, and your body will drop into the cellular recovery. So that's how I got the healthiest the fastest. The other thing I tell everybody not to do is don't leave your phone plugged in on next to your bed. Put it in airplane mode, leave it in the bathroom so you can still hear the alarm. And turn your Wi-Fi router off at night. Put it on a Christmas timer so it goes off at 11 and comes back on at 7 or 8 in the morning.
Wow.
Those things they're completely disruptive to your cellular health.
That's a whole lot of asking there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, if you look at every iteration of 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G, all of these kind of diseases, heart disease, diabetes, all of these autoimmune type diseases have risen along with these implementations of these new systems. And the more people are on screens and using this non-native EMF devices, the more you have to do other stuff to protect yourself and recover.
Sure.
So my system is I get up every morning, go outside barefoot, stand barefoot for 10 minutes and watch the sunrise. And then I jump in a cold tub and then I get my day going.
You ground out.
blocking blue light all day long and movement. Yeah.
Well, you ground out. Dr. Ely is a big person like that as well.
Yeah.
Now you're nonprofit. Let's shift some gears. Hope Chain is focused on teen mental health, suicide prevention. How do mold, blue light, and these hidden toxins tie into the mental health of the young crisis people face today?
So I guess we can drop into mold. Mold, I don't want to scare everybody about, but half the buildings in the United States have some sort of water damage. And mold, you don't ever want to leave it there or clean it. You want to tear it out, even if it's on the studs. You just throw it away. It's just gross. It's bad. It'll sit there and lie dormant. And the mycotoxins, the survival replicating mechanism of the mold, can live dormant for years. And then once they get the right substrate, water, darkness, they start growing again. And the mycotoxins are what are horrible. They can cross the blood-brain barrier and camp out in fatty tissue, which your brain is, and that's why I was having all the neurological dysfunctions. So mold is kind of a rough one. It can be as rough on kids. Kids tend to recover faster than old people like me. But the thing for...
Wait, you ain't that old. You were what? February 66 was your birth year?
Yeah, I'm almost 60. So,
okay.
So the thing with the kids, though, I kind of already mentioned, they're attached to these devices, and they do cause hormonal disruption. Blue light does. So does the non-native EMF. It can cause neurological problems. It can cause depression and anxiety, and then it can become addicting. There are several patents out there about the design of the blue light spectrum on these devices that makes them addicting. And then that's even before you get to the content. So the children are really under attack from technology and content, and just a couple simple things that parents and kids can do alike can protect them from this. Because in 2022, we shifted the nonprofit For Lucia Eyes from just outfitting kids in underserved areas to suicide, because there was a huge spike in suicides after the pandemic.
Wow.
So that's part of our big mission. So most of our profits from Lucia Eyes go to Hope Chain, which we support these things that are in schools called Hope Squads. And Hope Squads are peer-led teams of trusted advocates. So the kids in the high schools and middle schools vote on kids who would be a trusted advisor, somebody that they could talk to, somebody that's warm, welcoming, friendly. And the kids then that either accept to become a Hope Squad member, and if they do, they get trained. And if there's an outcry event where the kid has actively thought of a plan, then those kids can go to another trusted advisor. And it was started in Utah by, I think in 2000 or 2001, by Dr. Greg Hudnall. He had a huge problem with suicides in his school district, and since he started it in 2001, they've had 0 suicides.
Wow.
So our
That was a
goal is to
Mormon thing,
try-
wasn't it?
I don't know. I think it was a public school. He might be a Mormon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he probably is a Mormon. I know that there was a lot of problems with suicide in the Mormon community. There was I don't want to like comment too much about it, but I know they were having a huge problem with it. But he's the guy that started it, and we've got a bunch of them in schools here in Texas. But there's 70,000 schools in the United States, and there's only 1,700 of these programs active right now.
Wow.
So they need them in more schools.
Yeah, so it sounds that way. And with today's kids, they kind of need all the help they can get because there's so much, like you said, attacking them.
Yeah.
Now, you created a short film called Live, Don't Die. And now there's a documentary in production called Incorruptible. Is that what I'm seeing? What role do storytelling and media play and fight in these invisible battles?
So there's a couple things we're working on. I just got a wild hair one day and decided I grew up trying to be an actor. I went to California after college and failed miserably at that. Kind of artistic writer, done a lot of acting and stuff. And so I just decided to write this short film. And we did it. It was a really good thing. We used it to launch the Hope Chain nonprofit. And I don't know about the Incorruptibles. I think that's a documentary. There's another guy two guys have contacted me to talk about the different documentaries they're doing on the nuns and Sister Wilhelmina. So I don't know which one is which.
Okay.
I'm actively investing in another company called Movie Night, and it is a anti-woke new streaming platform, like similar to Netflix. And so that's going to have a bunch of stuff that's going to be really helpful for parents. Like all the stuff they promised us for DVDs where you could basically have a filter and pick out what you want your kids to see and hear. We're going to be able to do that and not make the film, 27 minutes long after you click everything you want to cut out. So,
sure. Yeah, you got the credits.
Yep.
Now, some critics might hear mold, exorcism, miracles in the same sentence and write it off to as fringe. What do you say to the skeptics that may dismiss your story?
That's a great question. I've got a lot of people. I just came from a meeting where I was talking with a guy and told him part of the story, and he's, poo-pooing the whole thing.
Oh.
So I've been convicted of it. I used to make fun of my wife about mold, she would complain about it and say it's dangerous. And one of our old houses, the house that we lost when we went through bankruptcy after being in the mortgage business, had some mold in the basement. And I was like, bullshit, it's fine. And then here we are a year later. I got my butt kicked by it. And so I get the part of being a skeptic, and I believed, air quote, about the demonic stuff.
Yeah.
I had an experience while we were in the moldy house twice where they call it nocturnal paralysis. Some people call it being sat on by a witch, where you're not really sleeping and you're not awake, and but you can't move. And that happened to me twice. That was pretty scary. And I couldn't talk, but finally when I could talk, the only thing I could say was Jesus, and then it all stopped.
Really?
So that gave me a little basis of believing in this preternatural world. So I get people being skeptical, and that's fine. I just pray they don't ever have an experience like I did. But the devil's real, and so are his minions, and they don't like us.
I think I'd have my phone programmed to say Jesus every 15 minutes if that was the case. Jesus, what?
Help me, Jesus.
Jesus, help me.
Yep.
Wow.
I'm with you.
That's incredible, man. Now you've said, and I think you've said it, and it's a quote, this isn't about me. It's about giving people the tools to protect their health, minds, and spirits. What are the top tools, the takeaways that you want every listener of Hudcast to walk away with today?
I would start with the spiritual. I think there's a big deficit in our world, and we have started our own little podcast, kind of like not as big as yours and not as big as Joe Rogan, but we're
Remember,
kind of gearing
little fish, big pond. That's me.
Yeah. We're trying to gear it towards the 13 to 25-year-old kids who are the most at risk for suicide.
Okay.
And so the tools, what I like to pick the brains of people are, if you could go back and tell your 13-year-old self a couple things to do, what would you tell them? And so what I would tell, what I do tell my kids is, no matter what it is, it's all going to be all right. Keep offering it up. Keep giving it back to God. Try to give him your trust. It sucks. And, ask for help. Don't wait. And then, and I'm sure you have a bunch of listeners who are Christians, who are Jewish, and maybe Muslim and others. I'm a heavy-duty Christian, and I know that that when there's a serious exorcism problem that somebody else can't handle, they call a heavy-duty Catholic priest. So that's kind of like, okay, you got the Navy SEALs of the spiritual world here. So I'm staying Catholic. I don't know, not telling anybody else to change, but I'm staying Catholic.
Right. Well, I'm Catholic as well, but I've never heard anybody on the show that has been a part of an exorcism. I mean, again, you can't.
Well, Tim,
stuff.
I tell you, dude, I really literally pit my chance when the whole thing was going on. It was just unbelievably crazy. And like I said, I don't want to do it again. I'm glad I went through it, and I hope nobody else has to go through it. On the physical side, I would say get outside every day, get barefoot, watch the sunrise, get as much sun on your skin and body as you can, keep moving, block blue light, drink good, clean water. I like a carnivore diet. I don't stick to it. It was Labor Day. I had a ton of ice cream, ice cream cones and pie.
Well, it's kind of carnivore. Cream came from a cow.
Yeah, right. It came from a cow with the sugar cane.
Right. And
then, the other thing is, the big message of that anti-suicide video is, don't be afraid to reach out for help. And on the flip side, if you see somebody struggling, don't hide. Don't brush it off. Don't let the devil whisper in your ear and tell you everything's all right. Reach out to somebody if you think something's wrong. I reach out 100 times and have somebody go, I'm fine. What's wrong with you, dude? I had a kid that worked for me in the oil and gas business who killed himself. And I reached out to him every day when he had a weird outcry event for 3 months. And then he kept saying he was fine. And then 3 months after that, he killed himself. So the stomach acid over that is still kind of there. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. And on the flip side, if you see somebody struggling, just go talk to them. We need more connection and community in this world. We're all isolated with these damn wonderful devices you and I are talking on, and your listeners are hearing you on.
Yes.
But let's get face to face.
And the computer is recording
one another.
It's a thing, How do you not? How do you
it's
not
fine.
be part of it?
Yeah, it's great. Use it, but get face to face with people. Go hug somebody.
Yeah. Well, you have an incredible story, Dan.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
I'm gonna get this edited up. I'm gonna push it out there. It'll probably become dropped on Saturday, maybe Sunday. But I'm gonna get you a pre-link to it so you can kind of hear what's going on, and just kind of. This is a one-take thing. I love these kind of shows because you can sit back and have conversation and say, "Hey, well, what are your stories?" And I am so blessed to have these conversations with so many people around the world. I look at this as I'm the winner here because I get to have these conversations.
It's super fun. It really is super fun. And I'll tell you another one if you want to put this in the podcast.
Send it. Go ahead.
This one. So when we made the movie. Well, I called this friend of mine who was in the nightclub business at the same time I was. She shifted out of that into the film industry and here in Texas, and she produced it. Her name's Melissa Kirkendall. And she called somebody who was on our crew. The day she called this person, they were contemplating suicide that day. And she called this person and said, "Hey, I really need you to come work on this project. I need some volunteers, and you got to take half pay and all this other stuff." Well, that day she called, that guy was ready to kill himself, and he didn't because of it. So it's really a big blessing to just get a tiny glimpse of some of the good things that go on, because you never know what one positive action, one kind word, one hug, one smile to somebody will do. It's really amazing to be a part of that.
Let's plug your stuff again. How do we find you?
LuciaEyes.com, LuciaEyes.com is the best place. I'm on Instagram and X and Facebook and all that stuff. You can find me there. The best place is LuciaEyes.com or hopechain.com, HOPECHAIN.com. And the podcast is not out yet, but it will be, and it's Y'allcast, and it's y'all-cast.com, YALL-cast.com.
Well, if you need some input on the podcast stuff, I know a guy.
I would love it, man. I would love it.
Now, mind you, this is like the sledgehammer for the tack, because I've got a full-blown production studio in which I work in the underground location bunker, and I use maybe a third of the gear, but it's crystal clear. So if you're ever in Minneapolis, or not Minneapolis, but close to Minneapolis, and you want to come up and have a show in session, we should do that.
I would love it. Like I said, my best friend lives up there, so I need to scoot up and get face-to-face with him. So probably after the first of the year, I'll do that. I would love to get out and buy you a steak and drink a fat bottle of Cabernet with you and talk some snacks.
You got to be like a box of Ripple of 50-50. But I do hear you, and I appreciate that. And you are always welcome in studio to come on out. And, I've had a lot of guests, and they sound great on the phone, but when you get them in studio, they're put up on $1,000 mics, and they are crystal clear.
Copy that.
And it's such a difference. It's the Chevette versus the Corvette thing.
Yeah, I got you. Understood.
But I can't get any more bandwidth through a cell phone, through the mixing board. It's just the way it is. But, hey.
Yeah.
Dan, I'm going to pull the pin on this. What are we into our second session here? 22 minutes. Okay, so it's going to be a 49-minute show, but I'll add it up. And thank you again for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
And I want it to be enjoyable. I mean, again, it's a conversation. It's not, it's not a military operation. It's just, what do you know?
Yeah, I'll put together a discount code for your listeners. I'll make it HUTcast20 to get them 20% off and I'll text you a link here in like 15 minutes.
Well, listeners, as always, if we get a link, HUTcast does not accept any money for these shows. It goes to a charity of Dan's choosing. So for that case, we don't collect, we give back.
Wonderful.
Okay, Dan, stand by. I'm going to put this in standby mode for HUTcast listeners. You heard them. Get Catholic. Okay, I'm kidding there, but if you're Catholic and you need a priest, hey. But we'll catch you next time, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a wonderful, safe rest of your week. Stand by. And that's a wrap for HUTcast. HUTcast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for HUTcast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.